Hey everybody, I'm CJ and this is Truth Tuesday. You know, a couple summers ago, I did a special student ministry event back when we were social distancing and full of COVID, and it was simply called this: Where in Brazil is CJ Muston? Kind of a take on the old Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. The premise was this: I was going to hide somewhere in Brazil, and I would send a text out about every 10 minutes, and students would search all over Brazil and try to find me. And before I went out on this special event, I figured I would go and sit and either read a book that I was reading on my phone. I think I was reading Sherlock Holmes, or I would get on Facebook in between sending out texts. But before I went, my wife said something to me that we've talked about a couple times since then. She said, "CJ, I have a challenge for you." And I was like, all right, that sounds good. I can handle a challenge. She said, "Let your mind be bored. Let your mind be bored." And I kind of looked at her like, what does that mean? And she said, "Don't get on your phone. Don't read a book. Just let your mind wander." And that was going to be a huge challenge. She had read an article about how boredom is actually really good for our minds. You see, we live in a culture where we just go and go and go and go, and there's always something else to do, and there's always something else to look at, and there's always something else to see. But oftentimes we don't give our minds just that shutdown that they need. Jesus gave us the perfect example of this in Luke chapter 5. In Luke chapter 5, Jesus is just beginning to gain a huge amount of popularity. People are beginning to follow him. He's beginning to heal people. He's showing the power that God gave him. And in Luke chapter 5, starting in verse 15, it says this. It says, "But now even more the report about him went abroad, and great crowds gathered to hear him and to be healed of their infirmaries. But he would withdraw to desolate places to pray." See, in the midst of his popularity, when there were people crowding all around him, he would withdraw to desolate, some translations say lonely places to pray. I wonder how difficult this was for Jesus. I wonder how often he had to tell himself, yeah, I know there are more people to heal. I know there is another message to be preached. I know there is something else to be said, but getting alone and just being in the presence of God is what we need. Isn't that the way we function this time of year? There's always something else to do. There's always somewhere else to go. There's always something else to watch or to be a part of. And oftentimes I think we get so caught up in the rush that we miss the presence of God. And when we stop and we allow ourselves to just be present, we allow our mind to kind of wander. We allow ourselves to feel emotions that maybe we've been numbing out with all of the things that are around us. We truly feel the presence of this God that loves us enough to send his son to earth for us. You see, some of the greatest inventions, some of the greatest problem solving has happened from people that allowed their minds to rest and to be bored. And I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking, I rest by watching a movie. I rest by getting on my phone. But see, that's another screen that just stimulates our minds more fully, when oftentimes what we need is just a shutdown, just a time to sit and allow our minds to connect with the Holy Spirit and with God. And so my challenge to you is this: boredom can be a blessing. And so as we move forward into the Christmas season as a family or as an individual, I would challenge you to take 15 minutes a week and simply sit. simply be quiet. Don't get on your phone. Don't turn on the Christmas music. Don't turn on the TV. Just allow your mind to be bored. And an incredible thing will begin to happen. What we picture as boredom turns into a connection with God. It turns into a refreshing moment. And we realize how much we have just run the rat race. Boredom can be a blessing. And so as we approach this season, I want to encourage you to let yourself be bored and truly find the blessing in the midst of that. That when we are what we would call bored, it turns into this incredible thing where we connect with the God of the universe, that we celebrate this time of year because he sent his son. Thanks for watching.